And this particular gentleman right here, we got a $100,000 gift from this one. Because when I reached out to him, he told me the story again and he had all the good feels. It was just a steak lunch. But to be in their shoes, I cannot fathom. And to him, it was huge. So that was $100,000 steak lunch, is what I say. And again, paid for MarketSmart. So I will reiterate again, well worth the investment. And the Tell Your Story again is my favorite one, Robin. I love reaching out to them and thanking them and being specific about the story.
Okay, welcome everybody. We're gonna give it a minute so everybody can log in here. But really nice to see everybody here. A mixture of kind of clients, some prospective customers. I know there's some consultants in the mix. I think we were around like maybe 70 or so, registrants when we last checked. So we'll see what kind of turnout we get here today. But this is exciting. We probably should do this more often in terms of just having that mix of people together. So I'm excited to, kind of give this a test run of having a nice panel of clients here today and walking you guys through what we do. It's going to be totally interactive, so I'm trusting that you guys will be on mute if there's background noise and stuff like that. But if you have a question or anything, feel free to raise your hand, go off mute, whatever you please. We'll stop and answer questions along the way. But let's see. It looks like more and more people are coming in, but I'll just jump into things here. So thank you everybody for joining us here today. You obviously can see the title and when you registered for this today, ultimately we're going to be reviewing more briefly MarketSmart's kind of core system, but really specifically spending a bulk of the time talking about how you can add to that system with what we call engagement efforts. And we've got 5 MarketSmart clients here who are going to speak to how and why, they've used some of these different engagement efforts in the system in general. So I'm going to try to talk as little as possible, let you get kind of the gold from what they have to say. But just to kind of set the table here a little bit further, again, we'll do very briefly just some introductions. I'll do that for the panel, but feel free as you chime in, for your specific parts to still introduce yourself further. Again, we'll do it very briefly just to make sure it's clear for everybody involved, the sort of core system, the engagement fundraising system, as well as I'll highlight really quickly the available engagement efforts. But then we'll turn the mic over to the panel. I'll kind of be the MC, but let them walk through the engagements that they wanted to cover and the results and wins and challenges that have come with that. So already kind of mentioned this focus of both kind of a combo of the engagement fundraising system with a more of a focus on the engagement efforts. We will send out a recording to everybody, including those who registered but can't attend today. And feel free to engage, whether there's going to be some polls that pop up here in a moment, but you can use your chat tool. You can use the Q&As. I always wonder why there's both Q&A and chat tool, but there are both. And you can also use the reactions, whether you want to, raise your hand or give a thumbs up or anything like that. And we'll kind of jump into it here in terms of this first poll. I'm curious, you'll see that they kind of juxtapose this first poll and the second one that comes right up of just investigating what do you have at your disposal today? And so I was curious, and Trisha, if you could pull up that poll. I know you're also entering people into the mix here as we go along. But I'm curious how much your internal marketing team supports you today with major and plan giving marketing. Is it, none at all and you're really on your own as a development team, or there's kind of limited where you do most of it, as a development team, but there's some internal support. Sometimes I hear of, yeah, we do have one person, dedicated to philanthropy marketing, but they're stretched really thin. And in rare but nice scenarios, I'll hear from folks that no, we actually have a dedicated major and plan giving marketing staff member. So we'll let the polls kind of keep rolling in here. People are answering. And I'll when I end the poll, you'll be able to see, I'll pull up for you. But so far, the leading answer is high and moderate. A few people saying none, no one I'm sorry, the leading one is moderate and limited. No one has said high yet, actually, which is not surprising, but we'll still give it a little more time here. For those that are just joining right now, you didn't miss too much. We're doing the very first poll here. Feel free to jump right in and give your answer. There'll be another poll right after this, just kind of getting a gauge of the audience, what you have internally. So I'll for this first one, we'll jump ahead and we'll end the poll. So it looks like about half said, yeah, we do have a dedicated person for philanthropy marketing, but they're really stretched thin. Another third said, limited. We have a little bit of internal marketing support. Some people said none, but nobody's, got a dedicated staff member just to support major and plan giving marketing. Um, I'll go to the next poll here, which is, and I can share the results. Sorry, I thought I had shared it there. Um, but I'll jump to the next poll here, which is more about external. Obviously, the MarketSmart clients here, you have, external support, but just in general, how much, similar types of answers, how much do you rely on external vendors for major and plan giving marketing? Is it all done in-house? Is there a little bit of help? I'm sure the answers will probably be pretty congruent with what we just saw in that last answer. But ultimately, it just helping, I think, folks understand that, in a lot of cases, it's really a lot is put on you. It's like you're hired to be a fundraiser, but they're like, oh yeah, could you also be an event planner and a marketer? And do you know how to run our CRM? And can you go get, cookies for the CEO or, whatever? And so it's you guys carry a lot of weight. There's it makes it a reason for us to exist, but I also empathize with you. Um, so everybody's pretty much, there's a few saying different answers, but almost everybody's saying moderate in this case. Some vendor help, some internal. So you're never really completely out of the woods on kind of being that marketer internally. And that's just kind of, at least today, of course, as we all know how the job kind of works. So with that, now we know a little bit about our audience in terms of what they're working with in terms of internal and external support. I want to introduce our panelists here. And again, feel free when you also are holding the mic, panelists, to just further introduce yourself. But we've got five fantastic people here on the line today. We've got Shalita from the National World War II Museum. She's going to be specifically talking about what we call a stewardship series, which focuses on your legacy society. We've got Laban Duke here from Hillsdale College. He's working with a number of different engagement efforts, but we got him focused on a few specific ones just for kind of diversity amongst the different panelists. We've got Robin from Lollipop Farm, the Humane Society of Rochester, who will talk about the door opener effort. Kim from USO, who will be talking about the Tell Your Story in QCD effort. And Sharon Morgan from the University of Idaho, who just recently completed a legacy challenge successfully. So a lot of ground to cover here. I promise only a little more of hearing me blab at you, but we'll set the stage here. You probably already know this, but just to make sure it's all clear, there's the kind of core engagement fundraising system, which contains a few deliverables and strategies from surveying to using automation to nurture supporters who raise their hand and drive them to web pages, the VIP microsite, where we can track how they lean in. And all that, goes into our dashboard to be scored and prioritized. These engagement efforts, you can think of them as additional campaigns that act like the survey in that they go out to a wider audience and invite people to self-identify. It's just, it's almost like we tried to come up with something that would beat the survey over our 17, 18 years. And nothing actually beats the survey in terms of volume and quality of response. But these do elicit some additional engagement, very strong as well. And in some specific ways, whether it's you're trying to go to kind of a broader audience and get them to lean in with something different than a survey, like telling their story or engaging with a newsletter, or you're trying to take someone who's further along in the consideration process and really invite them to kind of take that next step, whether it's setting a meeting with you or engaging with specific giving opportunities such as QCDs or a legacy challenge or a donor advised fund. And then we also have things, once someone is actually and specifically committed to a plan gift and helping ensure there's no buyer's remorse, let's say, on that plan gift, that they really feel good about the intention and we reinforce that. One last poll here, and then I promise I'll pass off to our panelists here. I'm curious what the group would say in terms of sort of barriers today for getting consistent engagement with major and planned giving supporters. So, Tricia, if you'd pull up that third poll there, thank you. We've got different options here between list or bandwidth or budget. Maybe you are putting in the effort and the outreach, but you're just not getting the results you want. Or maybe you are truly getting engagement, but it's just not converting to meetings. There's sort of a challenge in getting those supporters to truly set up time with you, even though they'll fill out forms or surveys or different things like that. So give it a minute to flow in here. So far and away, the bigger response is bandwidth, and that's really a reality for a lot of the organizations we talk to, especially. They have a big list. Their marketing actually is doing a great job at getting people to lean in and engage. It's actually that sometimes I say they kind of suffer from their own success. There's so much opportunity that you can't quite wrap your arms around all of it with the outreach that you're doing just on a one-to-one basis. So I'll end this poll as well, just so you can see those results and share those results there. So there was a little mixture there, but as I mentioned, about half, said bandwidth. There's another quarter there that said the list, is just challenging. There's too few quality leads. There's not enough response that comes out of things. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to my very intelligent and wonderful panel that we've got here today. Thank you all for taking the time to talk to your peers, help them learn. And these are just general guidelines that I've already shared with the panelists, but just for everybody's understanding, we're going to be talking a little bit about potentially any one or all these things of challenges before and after MarketSmart. We'll walk through some live links and examples of these engagement efforts. The panelists will speak to response, meetings, gifts, the impact that it's had, and just general advice for peers. So let's see, I think I'm right about on the clock, the time that I was shooting for there. So Ms. Shalita, would you like to lead us off and just talking a bit about the stewardship series and yourself in general?
Great. Thank you so much, Jeff, and good afternoon, everyone. I'm here in New Orleans, Louisiana at the National World War II Museum. It's really thrilling when you look at our annual giving program. We have two, and the number of donors as we really have a lot of success with our annual giving program. And the reason I bring that up is because that is a very large pool that before MarketSmart we were trying to engage with over 142,000 members in our annual giving programs. And as a planned giving officer, you wonder that is a big amount to chew. So we engaged with MarketSmart about 5 years ago. And now we have over 250 Stephen E. Ambrose Legacy Society members. And of course, it's growing. And stewardship has become even more important than ever before because with MarketSmart, I have a portfolio of about 750 people who are interested in the Stephen E. Ambrose Legacy Society. And getting with them, setting our meetings based on if they indicated they're very interested and ready to engage or there's no interest. All of those things have helped me to determine which donors I should be speaking with first. So, stewardship is so important again because donors change their minds. You may think, oh, I've got this, I've got the form, my donor intention form, we're definitely in the will or the estate plan, but not necessarily. We have to stay top of mind, especially as they near the end of their life here. So it's important that we continue to have outreach, that I touch them, and these automated touch points go out as well. So I have regularly scheduled meetings or phone calls or emails planned for my donors, but having MarketSmart with my stewardship series automated outreach when we know that at least 4 times a year they're going to hear from me and the World War II Museum is very, very important. So staying in touch with Legacy Society members through MarketSmart, as I mentioned earlier, allows me to engage with other prospects. These are prospects through MarketSmart that have self-identified. They'd like to hear from me. They're interested. or they're possibly considering giving us, leaving us in their will. This allows me, again, more time to do other things. So basically, that's what I have to say, Jeff, about the stewardship series. It's a great series. I highly recommend it. And my donors do reach out to me after they get these emails or after they hear the victory bell sing happy birthday to them. It's another little touch that we do with our Stephen E. Ambrose Legacy Society members. Did you have any questions, Jeff, or anyone on the panel?
I do have just a few questions, but others are welcome. Sorry, I was flipping around the slides there. I was trying to, but failing to pull this up finally. But I just wanted to make sure it was clear for everybody that for this particular stewardship series, and you were touching on this, Shalita, there's kind of a combination of deliverables. One I was holding up at first there is a Legacy Society focused survey effort where we, reconfirm those intentions, invite people to self-identify if they have additional interests in giving, such as, through a DAF or an IRA, for example. And then there are 6 automated emails that are just focused on Legacy Society stewardship. So it really, just like you're saying, Shalita, helps you with the many, irons in the fire that you have, wrap your arms around it and make sure people are feeling heard. I don't know, I was just curious to ask if there was any one sort of story that even comes to mind of a supporter who either engaged with that stewardship survey or engaged with one of those automated touches. Does any come to mind? I know I'm putting you on the spot there, but I was curious to ask that.
No, that's fine. We have a donor, Miss Kaler, in Milwaukee, and when we told her story, not only did I hear from her, of course, but I heard from many donors who resonated with her story. Her father had never talked about his involvement in the war. She was given a diary that her aunt owned that belonged to her father, and she took a trip with the museum to the Pacific. And on that trip, one of our tour guides actually read from that diary about her father's experience on that particular beach where and I happen to have been on that trip as well. And it was so moving and it stayed with me. And getting permission from Miss Kaler to allow us to use that engagement story it's overwhelming. And I still get people writing to me, that story resonates with me. So, and on my MarketSmart mini microsite on the museum's website is excellent. All of those stories are stored there. People can go in and look at them. So it's a total picture when you not only engage with all of these donors, but then when you personalize that engagement, it becomes a very powerful story.
That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing. And Sharon, it looks like, did you have a question?
I did. Shalita, maybe you said this and I missed it. Did you do a direct mail component or is it just an email series for you?
I have found email to be so very successful. It's instant. I don't have to rely on the cost of direct mail with the museum. It's a cost saver for us. So going email, and in fact, I just looked at another list that has about 20,000 names on it. And most of them, I'm going to say over half of them were emails. So I have to figure out what to do with that other half they've not shared their emails with us. But everything we do has been email.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And we could collaborate together, Shalita, on a print version of this stewardship survey, actually, if you're interested in something like that.
Thank you.
Any other just questions or thoughts or comments from the group, whether you want to raise your hand or you want to type it in? We'll give it a minute or so, but I really appreciate your insights, Shalita, and I wish we could only give you more time, but we'll make sure we give everybody their spot in the sun here. But it looks like there's just someone chatting saying they were having some tech issues. All good. Okay. Well, I'm gonna jump out of this for a second so I can readjust my screen, if you will. One moment here, and go back to kind of our deck. Okay. And I believe, Laban, you're going to be next up here. So bear with me here. Okay. You kind of have some options here. I don't know if you wanted to pick one or the other, Laban, between newsletter, donor advised fund, or QCD.
Yeah, gosh, I mean, I don't even know what to tell everybody. Just buy everything, right? Uh,
All
Jeff, you
right,
gonna
we'll
give
move
me
on to
my
the next
do I
panelist.
get
We're
my
good.
coupon later, Jeff, for having said that?
That's right. We got a spoiler. We've got a free cup of coffee ahead of here for anybody who talks to each other. No, yeah, Laban's just an amazing individual, but also I don't know the right word, cheerleader for MarketSmart, and always gives me good advice as well. So I'm excited to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, so we've got a couple of offers here, but I guess I should probably talk about them at a slightly higher level because I think we're only shy two of the product offerings, and it's the only reason we're shy of 100% with MarketSmart is just a timing conflict in our own internal process to get us there. So it's not it's not a lack of desire. It's just, it's all on our end, not on theirs. Where we've found a lot of value, I guess I should back up a little bit. I kind of manage all of the broad-based fundraising for Hillsdale College. So anybody whose gift is, broadly speaking, less than $10,000, but primarily those who give less than $1,000 as sort of their highest previous contribution, those people are in my wheelhouse. So my job is to generate and cultivate active donors at scale. And we've got a lot of them. We have a very generous base, and there's a lot of people that are represented there. Gosh, more than 400,000 people gave to Hillsdale College in the
Wow.
last year. So a very, very generous people of goodwill across the nation that support our mission. It's a real pleasure to be able to serve in that role for a college that I've looked up to for a long time. So why MarketSmart? If you've got that big of a base, why do you need MarketSmart? Well, actually, that was the funny thing. I gave Jeff a really hard time. We came on, I was like, we've got such a big program, we've got big fancy tools. Why do we need you? I could just make your stuff myself. I could make all these emails. And Jeff is a very patient guy, and he suffered me long spiritedly. And I appreciate that, Jeff. Maybe I owe him the cup of coffee, actually. But one thing that I came to realize that I think is true almost anywhere, I know that we had the poll earlier about, how much support you have in marketing. One thing that is true that I've noticed is that whoever is compensated properly to help with fundraising, they tend to help. And those for whom they receive virtually no compensation related to fundraising, they don't tend to be as helpful for the long haul, right? If for that person, say a person in your IT department or your marketing department, if for that person you raising $10 million or you raising $1 million, it makes them no difference. Either way, it's going to be rather hard to get their attention on a particular email and landing page and all of the necessary work to get it out the door properly to the right people. That is where I think MarketSmart excels, and that's why we have ended up partnering with them very closely on a newsletter, a DAF, and a QCD, amongst other things. That reason right there is that because they are brought on as a partner who has a vested interest in our success, these things tend to get pulled together nicely. They go out correctly to the right people at the right time with the right message. And that is critical for us. And that's why we have partnered with them on all of these things. Now, the DAF and QCD, those are fairly new. We haven't launched those and gotten all the results in just yet. And we like the setup. I like the way that the email drives very heavily to a landing page. You can see here that we've been able to put our own video assets and branding on everything. So it's not a cookie cutter approach. So everything looks like it belongs to us. And so when people get there, potentially from other website properties or having seen us in print or in digital in other ways, they get here and it looks like home. And that's exactly what we want. We want them to feel like this is a part of our branding standards. So MarketSmart helps out greatly with that. Can take existing assets that we had. We had a special video that specifically explained the qualified charitable distribution. Not a problem to get that pushed in there and use a high quality video asset that we had on hand, and was admittedly locked away, hidden very well on a Crescendo website. Sorry to dump on you, Crescendo, but this isn't your broadcast, and you're not buying me the cup of coffee right now. So we've got a crescendo site. It's okay. Like it does what it does, and maybe it helps out a few people here and there. This is actually a way to actually drive people towards that. Instead of having sort of a passive site, this is an active way to drive people who demonstrate some interest. And of course, with all of these things, yeah, you could probably go to Constant Contact, HubSpot, MailChimp. You could make any email that looks like this. What you don't get is the dashboard tracking. And that's a pretty critical piece here, where all of these efforts, all of that behavior, all of those clicks, they're going back to a dashboard, not so that we can be a creepy big brother, but so that we can be responsive and attuned to the donor's interests. I mean, I think it goes without saying, you have that many donors and have that much potential, we have a lot of people that we have to think about and care well for. This gives people a way to digitally raise their hand and let us know that they're interested. I mean, Hillsdale also hosts some pretty big events nationwide. If somebody's physically at the event, they could, come to one of our gift planning seminars that we host in coordination with those events. You would physically see that person showing some interest, or maybe they're just sort of wandering outside the door and listening in. And then you could like physically say, oh gosh, well, maybe this topic is for you. Let's see. Digitally, there aren't as many ways to do that. I think MarketSmart's hit on a couple of great areas where you actually can allow them to demonstrate some kind of interest. And again, not be like a creepy big brother, but take it under advisement that they have shown some interest in that area. That way, when they do reach out, you have a bit of a history and a paper trail to demonstrate these are the kinds of things that they're very likely to be attuned to. So the newsletter is a great one. I guess that's less focused on a specific, giving instrument. But it's a great way to kind of keep in touch with people, and it is filling a gap for us. I mean, even as large of an operation as we have, there is a need to make sure that people stay informed. We have a lot of content that we could offer to people. Curating that content gets to be a challenge. Great to have a partner help us do that. And admittedly, just make sure that we get the thing out the door.
Yeah, I think it's a fair point. One that you and I discussed at length when you're first considering working with MarketSmart. Like you said, that ultimately we are not inventing the wheel here. Surveys existed, automation existed, websites existed, newsletters existed. It's really the challenge is from a standpoint of internally how much time, effort, and ultimately money it really requires to not just get it off the ground and generate awareness, but truly do something that generates leads at the end of the day, that lead to meetings and gifts. And as much as possible, putting you all in the front line, a position where, sure, there's always going to be a little bit of an aspect of your job where you're the marketer and you're the event planner and you're all the other things. But how can we maximize the time that you're spending as a fundraiser? How can we focus you on people who are already ready for outreach? But I wanted to open it up to the crowd as well. Does anybody, panelists or attendees, have any just questions they wanted to ask Laban?
How long have you been doing the QCD, Lavin?
That's very recent. We started pulling together all the resources for that in the last quarter. So we've actually, interestingly enough, we've implemented MarketSmart twice at Hillsdale. And if you'll forgive me here, Jeff, I'm going to tell a little bit out of school here, but not too much. The first time we implemented it, I like to think of it as like what is it, the Starship launches? Like I like to think of it as like the early Elon Musk Starship launches. The rocket goes up in the air and the rocket explodes. And he is so excited. And everybody's wondering, like, boy, that looks like a colossal explosion. That seems like a failure. And it's like, no, but look at all that we learned. We learned exactly what we wanted to learn. And now the next rocket that goes up is going to be amazing. So the first time we launched it, it went up and it exploded. We had a lot of great responses to our prospect survey, and that was wonderful. And then we had lots of confusion about how to handle the process internally. So
Yeah.
you had all these great leads, and then it was like, how do we fit those leads into our existing process? Well, I guess the long and the short of it is, so they don't fit in the existing process. You actually need a different way of thinking about and handling these kinds of qualified leads than just the standard run, or at least that was our experience. So the second time it goes up, we did something like a chopsticks catch, right? Like the Starship comes down, it's huge, and we managed to catch it, with, in a very high tolerance area. And that has been, our launch of the QCD effort has been a part of that second wave. So if you think about it, we've been with MarketSmart now for several years, but only in the last couple quarters have we really started attuning ourselves more finely towards what the program can actually do inside of our existing operation.
That's great because my Starship came down and it landed in my email box. So right at the holiday season. So it was really an experience the first time we went through it. The outreach we received was phenomenal, just phenomenal.
Yeah, it's been the same for us. Yeah, I don't think it'd surprise anybody. It's like tens of millions of dollars for the whole run of the thing. It's really incredible how much generosity we've been able to find and encourage through having these kinds of tools in place.
Thank you.
But yeah, it can be a sort of a good and sort of a challenging thing when you come to realize just how much people are going to engage with you with one of these offers. And sometimes you don't know what don't know until you really get off the ground. But a lot of the times with these efforts, whether it's the survey or the QCD, it's good to go in kind of small waves and batches. But sometimes you even do that, and the response is explosive. And so ultimately, I think in a way, it's almost like working with MarketSmart is in and of itself almost like a feasibility, an ongoing feasibility effort where you're going out to the masses and really getting a sense of just how much opportunity is out there. And then based on that, realigning kind of your staff, your process to really enable you to wrap your arms around that. I'm jumping a little bit out of turn here, but I was going to say, I know for the USO, Kim, you've had the QCD running for at least a year or two now, correct? And you've seen quite a few gifts come through. If I'm putting words in your mouth correctly here, is that right?
That's right, absolutely. Well, my experience with MarketSmart is really nearly 7 years. I also was with MarketSmart with my previous organization, and this was one of the reasons that I was recruited to the USO because they said they used MarketSmart. That was a big factor to me to come here to be a part of this organization because for me, being the only Plan Giving employee for a global worldwide organization, I am the only Plan Giving employee. So senior leadership has called MarketSmart Virtual Kim. That's what we refer to it as. But yes, we have seen such an amazing response from the QCDs that it has the revenue and I just ran a report that was updated in September with the revenue that has come in, and I know that Jeff has a copy of that and we'll take a look at it. But the MarketSmart site for us, the impact page, is the only giving page that the USO uses. That's how strongly we feel about MarketSmart at the USO right now. This right here will show you since January 1st, before the donors were put into the MarketSmart plan and after the donors were put into the MarketSmart plan. That's DAF and QCD efforts. And that has been remarkable for us. Senior leadership has not seen this yet. Budget meetings are next week, so they will be able to see the impact. But, for the USO to have only had the amount of money before the Plan Giving stewardship with MarketSmart and then the, $5 million difference to me, that ROI just speaks volumes. So I'm a huge MarketSmart fan. I will just jump ahead real quick and say that I even asked them to begin a charitable gift annuity. I hope I'm not stepping in anything here and everyone's gonna, want this and cause a jam up, but I asked for a charitable gift annuity initiative. So we're doing that as well. And I have closed 2 charitable gift annuities as a result of them adding that to the program. And as far as I'm concerned, the fee was nominal. One of my gift annuities was 50,000 and one was 25,500. So it already paid for itself, 15 years into the future. So that's my
That's awesome.
CGA plug.
Hey, no, all good.
Yeah, I would echo that. Yeah, we're fixed to have our CGA offer out at the door For anybody who hasn't
Great.
noticed, the CGA rates are great right now, a great
Mhm.
offer to any donor with the rates as high as they are right now. So also timely because those rates can change, which we are quick to point out.
Mhm.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
in any one of these efforts, whether we're talking newsletter, DAF, QCDs, CGA, there's some different components, but ultimately we're building out, a landing page for that particular offer where there's going to be a conversion opportunity for people to request information or different sort of calls to action. We're also building out an email strategy to drive people to that landing page. And then if desired, there's going to be also a print component. We don't do the actual printing and mailing, but we do all the artwork and creative for it. Again, just to kind of help people understand what am I getting, if I do one of these engagement efforts. They obviously have different content and objectives, but at their core, that's what MarketSmart's helping build out for that fee. I see Sharon, you raised your hand. Go ahead.
Yeah, Kim, I'm curious on your QCD effort. Were you doing anything to market QCDs before you did the effort with MarketSmart?
No, no. The plan giving program at the USO is very, very new. It may only be 10 years now, I think. And prior to me, there were only a handful of employees that had ever been here. So I walked into a brand new plan giving program and was able to start from the ground up, which was exciting. But yeah, no marketing at all for that prior to MarketSmart.
Thank you.
Yeah, good question. If there are other questions, feel free. I skipped over you there, Robin. Don't worry, I didn't forget about you. But I figure since Kim, you have the mic if you want, we could talk about the tell your story and then come right around to you, Robin, on the door opener.
Sounds good.
The tell your story is really a wonderful offer, not just for planning major gifts, just in general. It's a nice thing to do and a great stewardship piece. But I'll let you do the talking. I like to think of it though as like kind of an open-ended survey, more about their story and their why.
Well, absolutely. And we all know that the biggest thing that we can do is let the donor talk. And I'm going to share two stories, and they're lengthy, and you guys can, get a recording, I'm sure, of this and read it later. But these were really near and dear to my heart. And also, what the Tell Your Story with MarketSmart has done is opened up the door for me to be able to share these donor stories with other parts of the organization. We have used these in our direct response program, which has really opened the door for them. I am getting hundreds of thousands of leads now from the direct response team as a result, and that is part of why this year's QCD DAF revenue went up so much. Is I probably put 200,000 direct response leads into MarketSmart over the past several months. And again, the door was open because I'm sharing the stories. It's hard for them to come up with stories, but it's not hard for us because we know that we sit and listen. Listening is the biggest thing that we can do when we're with donors, and they will freely tell all, sometimes too much. But yeah, so take a look at the stories. It's to me, this is the most impactful part of my entire job with the USO is being able and being privileged enough to listen to the stories that they share with us. So I'll give you guys just a few moments to read these if you want to take a look, but it's just been such an amazing way also to pull in family members. They will tell a lot in their stories, and sometimes they will share that they have siblings or that their children are also service members. So then I can get the lead to reach out to the children if they're old enough to, be out of the service and want to chat with me about plan giving. So it's also a way to get leads. It's just a win-win to do the Tell Your Story effort. It's my favorite.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites too. I mean, I think it's a true, there's a lot about MarketSmart that follows this adage, but I think it's a true sort of implementation of the adage, ask for money, you'll get advice, ask for advice, you'll get money. But the reality is that very few people are actually really asked for their opinion and their story and their advice. Certainly the people who are in your portfolio and you all are, experienced and adept fundraisers, they get that opportunity. But what the tell your story really opens up is for someone who's maybe not in a portfolio or they're not ready to talk to someone to still experience, the joy of just being able to share their why. And from there, there's going to be a meaningful conversation So this is one story where the gentleman left quite a lengthy, just kind of story about his background and 55 years, ago in the Marines and such. I believe, let me go to the next one here. It's a similar but different type of story, but it's just amazing. I mean, you didn't even have to pick up the phone. You didn't have to, make a visit. You can just open up the doors and invite folks to kind of lean in and share. And we often see that the tell your story, it's usually purchased at least at first by, someone on the development team, but it's not uncommon that after a year or two, it comes out of the general marketing budget because they just say this is just something we should just evergreen always be doing, and it's not just about development. It's really about just making supporters feel good about their connection and reflect on their story. Any just questions or comments or thoughts from the group for Kim?
Kim, how do you use this to and follow up with people? Do you just say thank you for sharing your story and continue the relationship from there? But what's your follow-up plan afterwards?
If we have an email address, which normally we do, I will email them and thank them, of course, first. Then I will pick up the phone and call them. And if they have told us what, if they were in the Army, Marines, whatever, what I've been doing lately is the post office has now put out stamps with all of the military. And I will go and buy the stamp. Well, I bought the stamps for the military, different service members, but I will send their thank you card with their stamp of their, service ranking. So that's been huge. Just the fact, I think, and this is a blessing, but also kind of sad, they're shocked that I actually read it and that I will, call them or send a personal note. And this particular gentleman right here, we got $100,000 gift from this one. Because when I reached out to him, he told me the story again and he had all the good feels. It was just a steak lunch. But to be in their shoes, I cannot fathom. And to him, it was huge. So that was $100,000 steak lunch, is what I say. And again, paid for MarketSmart. So I will reiterate again, well worth the investment. And the Tell Your Story, again, is my favorite one, Robin. I love reaching out to them and thanking them and being specific about the story.
Kim, can
Yeah.
I ask you a question?
Yes.
Hi, it's Shalita. Whenever we do tell your story, my box just runneth over. How do you stay on top of everything else you do? I know what I do, plus do the rest of your work that you're doing.
Yes. Well, thankfully, I will be hiring another person in January. So I let Virtual Kim do what she does with the qualification and everything. And then the Tell Your Story is my favorite part of MarketSmart. I do read those first. I do reach out to them first. And am I way behind? Absolutely. But yeah, it's something that I really take to heart to reach out to them. That way they know that I did read it. But that's a great question, Shalita, because the amazing thing with MarketSmart is you will get so many leads that you will not have time to reach out to them. I think that's a great thing, and I know some people will take this a different way, that it's a bad thing. They're leads, and you will eventually get to them, and it's fun along the journey. That's the
Yes,
way I look at
the
it.
journey. You're right. Thank you.
Mhm.
So
Yes.
this is Sharon.
Mhm.
Is there not an automatic thank you email that goes out when they submit their tell your story from the website?
Yes, they get a thank you, but it's not going to be detailed,
No, of
like
course not. But I'm
yeah,
saying it's not like
yeah,
it's not like it
right.
appears that you totally ignored them.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. But I don't want them to think that we are like everyone else, and you know what I mean. So I do reach out too, but yeah, absolutely. They get acknowledgement that they sent it in. That's a great question, Sharon. Absolutely. I did not want it to look like I have 100,000 people that I need to reach out to that, we're not acknowledging. thank you for that.
But I think it's also interesting, not that for some clients, this happens in a year, sometimes it's 3, sometimes it's 5, whatever it might be. But there's sort of that tightrope of sorts where really showing consistent engagement and qualified leads leaning in, sort of one of the biggest wins we can hear about here at MarketSmart is what you just said, Kim, where you said, we've actually produced so much that we're going to hire more staff. The reality is you always needed more staff, right? But now you have clear evidence to show your leadership that that's necessary, to really not just do more or something like that, but truly there are stones to be turned over right here, ready to go. If we only had just one more person in the door. And I think that's actually an interesting transition to you, Robin, because I think in a way, to some degree, that's how you came to Lollipop, if I'm right?
Yes. Um, yeah, I mean, we had MarketSmart before I got here, for that reason, because we were starting a plan giving program, but didn't have the staff to manage it. So once MarketSmart was put into place, they realized, oh, we really do need a plan giving officer, and thusly, I came to Lollipop Farm, and it was the best thing that's ever happened to me. So thank you, MarketSmart. Um, but one thing that we've been doing as an effort through MarketSmart is the door opener. And one thing that we've loved about MarketSmart is that it's relational. A lot of other solutions for plan giving marketing or getting plan giving leads are more transactional, and this really hits on all the relational aspects that we were looking for. And the door opener is no exception. We're a regional humane society, but we have a large donor base, and we can't personally touch every single person. So we have a large job of qualifying a lot of donors, and the door opener allows us to segment those out a little bit and kind of get people to raise their hand, people who are ready to engage and excited about giving and supporting Lollipop Farm. So we've done this twice and we're about ready to do it again. But I like to say it's quality, not quantity. We can't send out a door opener to 20,000 donors because that's a lot of meetings all at once. So we try to segment our list a little bit more so that we're more targeted. And the first time we did it, we got 8 responses, which might sound very low, but out of those responses, we had 2 added to caseloads for further major gift cultivation. One connection led to a radio interview for our adoptions team and a location for a community vaccine event that we didn't have a place to hold it. We resulted in 1 planned gift. We got 1 new monthly donor, and we got a capital campaign gift of $25,000, and 2 capital campaign prospects came out of that. So, like I said, quality, not quantity. And it definitely gave that relational aspect that we were looking for and led to some really great things. The second time we did it, we did a larger donor pool. And we got 21 responses, and I think we probably needed to be a little more strategic about who we sent this to. But again, it resulted in some amazing things. We have a giving society, the Berg Society. We got 2 new members to the Berg Society. Those donors commit to $1,500 or more over the course of like a 5-year pledge. So $1,500 or more each year for 5 years. So that's not insignificant. We had 7 donors who increased their giving over previous years and sustained that giving for 2 years. 1 joined our advocacy committee. We had a new monthly donor. We had somebody who reinstated their United Way giving through their workforce, through their employer 4 new plan giving prospects, a new adopter. Somebody adopted a cat from us after the door opener and meeting with us. We had 1 new volunteer, and we had a brand new donor who's never given before give a $250 gift. So again, not a ton of response, but the responses we were getting were exactly what we wanted, which were qualified leads and increased support for our organization and building those relationships. And otherwise, we would have not known about any of these people and their desire to engage with Lollipop Farm.
Yeah. And ultimately, I think, there's a lot of ways to consider sort of the value of the investment in the door opener. But, even with adding you and additional staff, I think about the cost and time, training, everything of even just bring on one other, even say coordinator. And that person is good at, it's not that. It's just that they're going to cost a lot more than investing in an effort like this. And it's going to take up a lot more of your time. Investing in this is the complete opposite. It's a lot cheaper. It's not going to take up really any of your time in building and launching it, but you're going to have, these meetings on your desk. And ultimately, it's something that we see in the private sector a lot, right? When you schedule a meeting with MarketSmart or you're talking to your vendors, they say, hey, just click here, schedule a meeting with me. Or you see the book a demo button on somebody's website. But that concept is interestingly sort of foreign to nonprofits to say, just click here and schedule time with me. And there's, quite a few people out there that are actually waiting for that sort of invitation in a sense. Sometimes even just being invited to the party, is kind of nice. You're like, I'm not going, but I'm glad they asked me. And so, yeah, ultimately it's a really nice offer. This one coming with this landing page that is linked in, like I was showing you all, to a Calendly link where they can book time with you. And then you can kind of disperse it in different ways, but sending it out like Robin was highlighting to particular segments, or even putting in your email signature, putting it as a link on the website, different ways to kind of expand and just make yourself accessible, to your world in a sense. Any just questions for Robin from the group? You explained it perfectly. Nobody's got
I
questions.
guess I did.
Well, I want to make sure we do have time, and we may spill a little bit over here, but I want to make sure we do have time to pass the mic to Sharon, who really just completed a wonderful campaign. We took part in it, of course, in helping build out some of these pages with the Legacy Challenge, but I like to say our job's actually a little bit easier in this effort than the fundraiser. You got to find the donor that's going to make the match in the first place. But yeah, go ahead, Sharon.
Yes, and that was the tricky thing. I listened and I asked my colleagues around the university, if you have donors who love the idea of leverage and that their gift is going to bring in more for the University of Idaho, give me their names. As it turned out, I think we asked 3 people. One person was our friend Bill Moore, and we actually named the Legacy Challenge for him. And he first gave us $100,000. When we had matched all of that, he gave us another $100,000. So it was 200,000 total. The effort was about a year and a half, I would say. And we uncovered and documented over $15 million from 47 donor households. That's an average gift of about 320,000, and the median was 130. Our median realized estate gifts in the past had been about 80,000. So you can see that these people are leaving us in their estate plans at a higher level than what we were getting just for, I don't want to call them over the transom because they're not. I think you're all probably aware that nationally, charities only know of about a third of estate gifts before they're received. So a couple of really, really big benefits from this. One was, so on my team, there are 3 of us. I'm the senior director. I have 2 directors. One is based in Boise. One is here with me in Moscow. And then we have fundraisers in each of our colleges and over in athletics. A couple of the colleges have multiple fundraisers, and athletics had 3, excuse me, spread around the state. So we could, as the responses came in, we could give a boost to our colleagues and say, hey, would you like to be the first person to follow up because they have indicated in the Legacy Challenge that their gift is going to your college or to your area or to a scholarship fund in athletics or so on. And we never take anybody's initial response at face value because we've been doing the survey since 2017. And we always find in the survey responses, people will say, I left a gift. And when you call them to talk through what have they really done? Well, they were referring to the annual gift they made just now. They were referring to an endowment they've already set up at the University of Idaho. They were referring to their parents' endowment. You never know. So I don't just assume and say, oh, great, welcome to the Heritage Society. In part because when I came here and I inherited a database of people in the Heritage Society and people did not know why. I mean, I had no idea. There was no file, there was nothing. So we've spent and continue to spend a lot of time going back through those people. So I was actually very interested to look at that stewardship effort early on and say, ooh, we need to do something like that. We've been doing a huge data cleanup and moving things around in the database so that we can pull some of this out. And it's been almost 3 years since I wanted to do this mailing and we still haven't gotten it out the door. So I'm thinking, maybe there's a different way to skin this cat. Sorry, Humane Society. Didn't mean that way. But so that was one big benefit. It helped coach our major gifts team on how to have these conversations with people. And they were very, yeah, thank you. Many ways to peel a potato. Perfect. Over here in Idaho, home of the fighting taters. So yes, and it made them, the development officers, feel much more comfortable to have the conversation because they had a starting point. You completed this survey, you filled out this thing, you did our Legacy Challenge, and thank you so much. I just want to talk through with you what you intend for us to do with your gift. Let's get a gift use agreement in place. Let's make sure that we can meet your expectations. Oh, wait, you really didn't mean that. But then the conversation is open to, well, would you consider an estate gift? What about a current gift, a major gift now? And one of the couples that did the Legacy Challenge, it was a 3-part thing. They have an outside managed endowment at a community foundation. We're going to be the perpetual beneficiary of that. They set up an endowment with us currently for a 4-H program in one of the counties. And they also have a trust that's going to be funded with life insurance proceeds on them and their children, and we're going to receive funds from that. So in total, it was over $1 million. So that one was maybe a little bit of an outlier. It also brings people out that were not on our radar whatsoever. And this is true of the survey efforts as well. And it's one of the things I love about it. Jeff had asked us to maybe touch on a few points, and I know we're running short on time, but it's like, what challenges did you face before MarketSmart? I had the same size team, except I had a full-time dedicated staff person who did all of the list requests and sort of that, and that's been gone for a while. So I end up doing a lot of hands-on marketing that is not really the best use of my time, but there's nobody else to do it. So when I got here, as I said, the data was kind of messy. And we were working with another vendor who shall go unnamed, but I felt that they were very, they didn't help me when I said, look, my responses are declining. What's going on here? They had no suggestions. I had to go to them and say, how about we try this? Or how about we try that? Very reactive and not proactive. And partly that was the way the office had been set up previously as well. So that 2017 survey, and I started in 2013, that 2017 survey was a game changer for us and has continued to be. We did direct mail and email with that first effort. It's been all email since then, and we're about to do this coming spring another direct mail survey. But I had heard about this Legacy Challenge idea at the National CGP conference years before, and I always wanted to try it. So I was really excited when MarketSmart rolled that out. And once I was able to get the donor lined up, MarketSmart made it really easy for us to launch these. It was all email. We were getting ready to do a postcard for kind of cleanup because we had this last like $10,000 that wasn't getting claimed. And we did a 1-to-1 match for all donors of $5,000 up to $5,000 for donors who revealed. So it was 10%, excuse me, up to $5,000 for donors who revealed the value. There were also a couple people who said, yeah, I've done it, but I'm not telling you how much it is. And they got a $500 match out of the Legacy Challenge. The donor was very happy, Mr. Moore. And I think everybody who engaged in the effort was also happy with it. The other thing I was going to mention, and somebody did touch on this a little bit, I think it was you, Jeff. What I love about this system is that you never give up on people. You know, especially if they've opted in to the cultivation emails, which is wonderful. I have no time to write cultivation emails to people. You see people who initially said, no, I'm not interested in that. I'm not going to consider that. Then they go, oh, possibly consider it. And now they're definitely interested, and we're in a conversation with this person as we speak. Granted, sometimes it's circumstances in their own lives that change. And I have another example, which went from will not to they've left a gift, where their spouse died. And then whether it was because the spouse was resistant to the idea, or they felt like they had to leave stuff to their spouse to take care of their spouse, and now the spouse is gone. So, okay, now I'm free to do this. The one we're talking with right now, her husband died, and she wants to do this in his name, in his honor. So I don't necessarily take the not interested at face value. And I do tell our development officers, as you can see in the dashboard, it'll still indicate if by their answers they are a major donor prospect, even if they say no to the legacy gift question. So we use that. And my other favorite thing is the map in the dashboard, because we are a big state, and most of our bulk of our alumni are out west, and my team is divided regionally for the whole country. We've divided up the whole country, so we can look at a glance, do some filtering, and figure out who are my people, and then decide who's going to go, whether it's a college development officer or one of us.
Thank you so much, Sharon. Any just questions from the group?
Just a quick comment that the customer success managers are really responsive. And Sharon,
Yes.
you really hit upon that. And I just have to thank MarketSmart for finding wonderful customer success managers. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I agree with that too. And Kimberly is clapping.
Yep,
because
I agree as well.
And that was not true. That my customer relationship manager at my previous organization, I mean, not organization, at the previous consultant, was so turned over so often, and whoever left did not leave good notes. And I just felt like I was repeating myself all the time.
Yeah, it's a big part of what we do. I mean, most of our staff is really here to support you all. And that's a big differentiator between us and a lot of traditional firms. You know, you can get a template and, you know, some different colors on it, you know, or something like that from a lot of vendors. But we really try to take it a lot further in terms of not just writing the copy, but really being a strategic partner that you can really rely on and build a relationship with. And so I'm really happy you brought that up, Sharon. Thank you.
Yeah, and I would like to add to that too. It's not just the good news stuff. It's like when I call my person, or we have our monthly meeting, and I say, hey, this isn't working. Or I also like that, I think it was you, Jeff, that you reached out to me year plus ago and said, hey, what's not working for you with us? How can we get better? And I was very frank. I guess that's, my husband would tell you that's always true. It said, hey, I've noticed a little decline in some areas, and that was growing pains at MarketSmart. And that decline has stopped, and I'm very happy with where things are. So.
Yeah, on that note, we're always open to just having a general conversation. It doesn't have to always be strategic in terms of the next step in your plan or to pitch you, you know, an engagement effort. We love to just sit down and get just feedback in general, how we can do better, how we can improve upon what's even working as well. So don't be hesitant to just reach out to me or your customer success manager in that regard. I know we're a little over the clock here, and I appreciate everybody taking a little extra time. I'm gonna actually jump past. Well, we could still do the poll real quick, I guess. We'll do it real fast. I'm curious for the audience and for everybody else to kind of see for each other. Trisha, if you want to pull up that poll, and you can select more than one option here. Which of these efforts, you know, resonate most with you for your shop and your goals and your challenges? We'll give it a second to roll in here. But what a fantastic panel we had today. Thank you so much for everything you guys put in here. There's only one last slide I have after this, which is just to really encourage everybody to engage with each other after today. So I'll go over that just in a moment. But for the sake of time here, the results are still popping in. Okay, we'll end the poll, we'll share the results. It seems like no one said none. That's good. But everybody showed interest in quite a few things. But the tell your story is clearly a popular one for many of the reasons described. But there's a valid reason to consider any one of these engagement efforts. So, we'll of course be reaching out to see, your customer success manager if any one of these resonated with you and you want to talk more. But don't hesitate to reach out to us as well. But if you want, whether it's before or after that, outreach or communication with us. We just want to really encourage everyone to engage with each other. Now, there is going to be the official kind of launch here soon of a true referral program for MarketSmart, where if you refer a colleague to us or a peer in the industry, you get a free $10 coffee gift card. If they meet with us, we'll give them a $10 coffee gift card. But the real opportunity to unlock is if that referral leads to someone purchasing, something from MarketSmart, you'll unlock a free engagement effort in your strategy with MarketSmart in that year or the following. We can kind of work that out together. Now, for everyone here today, just to encourage you all to meet with each other, whether it's, prospect and prospect or prospect and client or client and client or consultant and, some other variation of what I'm describing. If you guys just have a conversation, that's all. You can talk about, why the sky is blue. It doesn't matter. But if you have a conversation together, we'd love to just treat you both to a coffee gift card. If you would like MarketSmart to help make that introduction, we're more than happy to do that for you. And if you are a client on the call today and you speak with either someone who's not a client on the call today or just a client in general, just kind of reiterating the ultimate prize there of the referral program, again, you will attain a free engagement effort in your either current or next sort of subscription with us. Again, we can kind of figure that out together. So please, we'll follow up too and just reiterate this to encourage connection. But we'd love to also be that bridge for you if you just want to say, hey, who is that person, at USO? What was their name? Who can I talk to, or whatever it might be. We're happy to make the introduction. But we do have more time here. I know at least I can stay on longer here. I know everybody has busy schedules, but if there are additional questions or slides or efforts that people wanted us to circle back to, more than happy to do that. So we'll give it a moment here. Feel free, whether you want to use the chat tool or you just want to raise your hand and jump in. More than happy to keep going here with any questions that pop in. But it may be that we covered a lot of ground. I think this is one of the most impactful webinars and engagements we've really done at MarketSmart, frankly. Just being able to hear from you all in the field and what it really all means to you it just goes far beyond anything we could say here, ourselves about what we do. But it looks like there's no questions flowing in here. So I'll give you guys the rest of your day back, I guess, whatever you'd say there. But I really do appreciate both our panelists just leaning in, preparing, having amazing things to say, and also our attendees, for taking the time out of your day just to hear from everyone. Let's see here, just making sure it could just be a thank you. Yep, thank you as well. Okay, thank you, everybody. Have a great rest of your day. It was amazing to have you on here today.